Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Thanks everybody for waiting for everyone to jump on the call. My name is Will Cooper. I am a training coordinator for Infowise. My background is as a web developer. As many of you, I wear a lot of hats. I've done some teaching, project management, web development, and kind of a variety of things. I live in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and I have about 3 years of experience doing development using the Infowise toolset. Additional to that, I have some background with HR-related technology. For about 4 years, I worked for a company in Winston-Salem, Silk Road Technology, and I have some experience on an applicant tracking system product that company used, and therefore had some interest in talking about how you might be able to build an applicant tracking system in SharePoint. So what we'll do on our call today is, first of all, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the approach to using tools with Infowise in SharePoint. I'll show you the process of how that would work. And then what I'll actually do is walk through the example solution that I built. And last, I'll show you actually how you go through the Infowise tools to put together these components. I really love this tool set. The thing that's most important that I want to get across to everybody on the call today is the significance of being able to develop custom SharePoint tools without the need to write code. So with this solution, you do not have to go into SharePoint Designer or do anything in Visual Studio or rely on a programmer to set up these solutions or to make updates. So it's very accessible and flexible, but at the same time it's powerful, and you can really build sophisticated solutions. So in the demo today, really wanting to show how you can build things in SharePoint. Infowise is a tool set. We're not showing you, like an off-the-shelf solution. We're not giving you a prepackaged solution. We're giving you the tools so that you can build according to your own requirements, which to me is great. It's much more versatile. So to start out, I'm just going to go into the Infowise design form. When you have Infowise installed in your SharePoint environment, the user interface is updated. This is the case whether you are using on-premise SharePoint or using Office 365. So when you go in the ribbon toolbar, you'll notice I clicked on a puzzle piece icon. This is kind of eye-catching, easy to find in the ribbon, and this takes you to the Ultimate Forms design screen. And there's a lot of helpful information. This is kind of a home base for development with this tool set. And the first thing I want to call to your attention, on the right sidebar, you'll see the general outline of the steps you use when developing solutions using Infowise. As with many kinds of development, you start broad and take some simple steps, and then you refine your solution by incorporating more detailed aspects of the tool. So the process of building with Infowise begins by adding the fields that you're going to need to your tool. And with Infowise, it actually expands the flexibility and options that you have with SharePoint fields. There's really some limitations as far as the fields that you get with SharePoint out of the box, and so I'll show you a little bit about how that works. After you do that, with Infowise, you're able to map this into tab grouping. So in SharePoint, usually if you put a long list of fields, it would stack vertically in a form, and if it was a lot of fields, this really would become overwhelming to the user. But with the tab style interface, you're able to break those fields into logical sections and really give a more user friendly interface. Once you've got that basic interface set up, then you can look at things like permissions on fields. You may have different levels of security groups. Certainly that would be the case with this applicant tracking system. And you do have the ability to configure and control which user groups are able to update fields and which information they're able to see. After you've done that, you can add custom validation if necessary to make sure that information is collected at a certain stage in the process, for example. And then for the actions, this is something that, for the most part, really can fully replace anything that you would have otherwise had to do with custom workflow in SharePoint. So the Actions tool in Infowise is very exciting because it gives you the ability to really build out logic and control how a tool works as you're working through stages. The job process, when you're working through requisition, there's a very defined list of steps, things that you go through in terms of candidates and interviews in that process. So the actions give you the ability to work with that. Okay, so after that, really what you want to do is set up some email alerts to customize, when people are notified when things are going to change in the system. And then you can also do custom print templates. So basically, this screen kind of helps guide you through the basic process. Below that in the blue box, there's lists of training information. We have videos demonstrating all the various kinds of things that you do. So there's a lot of helpful information in here to help guide you along as you're first learning to develop with this tool. So really everything happens from this screen, and in learning this you can kind of explore some of these settings, but you can find them all from this area. So that's the process of using Infowise at a very high level. The next thing I want to do is actually get into the example solution I built. And just to repeat, this is just showing you something that you could put together. This could be customized and changed to adapt to the requirements of your specific organization. I just wanted to give you an example of how you could build this process. So I'm going to show you what this looks like. Essentially, with Infowise, I can I can model kind of a simple relational database system. If you think back to the days when we used to build applications a lot of times, say, with an Access database, with Infowise, you can have a parent-child relationship between lists, and then you can kind of build that many-to-one relationship that you would need, especially in this type of system. So the way I model my solution, as you know, when you're posting jobs, you have many applicants submitting for those, but that candidate pool, you want accessible for more than one job because you're trying to look for good candidates as well as them applying. So I'm going to start there by adding a candidate, and then later I'm going to show you how we tie that back to job requisitions in the process. So this is the Infowise tabbed interface. I'm going to show you that in this first form. So there's really no limit on how many tabs you might set up. So I'm just going to type in some fields here. I've got a dummy resume I'm going to attach. On the validation, there are options for phone and email, so you can kind of lock down things like that, make sure your data is going to be consistent. And then with SharePoint, usually the attachments, in my opinion, it's a little bit hidden in the interface, but I mentioned being able to relate lists to each other. So in this case, I've created a document library called Candidate Attachments. So this could be for the cover letter, resume, or any other files that they sent, and it's inline in the interface. So it's visual and it's obvious, these attachments, without having to click to go to another screen. So I'm just going to go get my resume this candidate has sent in, and it'll take me through one more screen, and then it'll just attach and show directly in the user interface. Okay, so you can add as many as you want, and those will be related to this candidate. Now, one aspect of these candidate pools is, especially as you accumulate lots of potential candidates, you're trying to track their skills, you're trying to have a lot of metadata so that you can filter through these and potentially match candidates up with other listings. So these skills could be whatever you would define, but this is giving us some metadata so that I can do some searching and find candidates and match them up to requisitions, as a HR person or a manager. If I just want to look through potential candidates. So you could customize this to whatever attributes you want. So this is, in my system, this is how you might pull a candidate in initially, and then what you begin to develop is a candidate pool. So you see all these people down here, and I can track their information and then match them up with jobs. So the next thing I'll show is actually starting a job requisition, and I'm going to demonstrate how you could tie candidates to the requisition. So basically what you've got is I guess about 5 different lists, which I'm able to relate to each other in a logical way to manage this process. Okay, so this is a new requisition that I'm putting in. I'm just going to put in some dummy information for the description. Okay, and then you can assign fields to categorize the job requisitions. Typically you might think about these by department. So I've got an IT-related job. Notice also the visual aspects of the interface. This field is a Infowise color choice field, which you can map to icons. So this is really important for dashboards. Users have a very quick way to understand the information being presented to them. So I'm going to say this is going to be posted on March 1st, and then I'll leave it in a draft status, and then I can mark it open when I actually want it posted. And then these fields for the recruiting manager and hiring manager, this would help generate those email alerts. So when we think about tools in SharePoint and other systems, we want to have roles. We want to assign people to act in a certain role for this overall process. And we can map those email alerts to go to whoever the person is in these fields. Okay, so this is a basic model of this process. This shows you the core process. Of course, as far as customizing this and adding additional information and process, you can just build out from that core model. So that's one other thing that's nice when you're developing with Infowise. You're able to have a system as a context for the development very early in the process. People can put their hands on it, they can try things out, and you have a very tight feedback loop where you can test out that form, you can see how the process works, and then you can keep making adjustments very quickly, and everyone can see exactly how it works throughout the development, rather than you sometimes have a lot of requirements you're trying to hit, and you may have a development team, and it could be a long period of time, a month or two, before you even see that first version. That's certainly not the case here. Okay, so I'm going to show you how we would map up the candidates. So in this model, what I did is I set up a related table, which I called applicants. And in the applicant record is where we're actually going to pick from our candidate pool. So I have a lookup field, and what I see is a list of all the possible candidates that have been loaded into the system. So I can pick Jason here, and it's going to automatically tie to that, and I'm just going to indicate the date that Jason's applying. And then these notes fields can be used to record information during the process, as the candidate is going through various stages in the process. So an HR person can, assess the priority as far as where they compare to other candidates. And then a critical part of this is the hiring stages. So you see there's a 1 icon, and in my process that would be the beginning of the process. But as I work through those stages, you can see I have an indicator. So as I'm comparing these applicants, it's very easy for me to see how far along we are in the process across all those candidates. Okay, and of course you're going to schedule interviews with the candidate. This is an important part of the process. You want to make sure that this is documented, that somebody has made a note that they've contacted the candidate, confirmed the appointment, that type of thing. So I'll put one of those in here for Jason. And then I've set up an interview type. You see that color choice field there. So these icons, these indicators really help to balance out the text-based content with visual indicators. It just makes it a lot easier to understand, and it makes it more user-friendly. Okay, so I just need to set the interview time. This part's pretty straightforward. And then I can include the interviewers. Again, we can make the system automatically generate email alerts. So in this system, what we would certainly want is when an interview is entered into the system, we'd like an email alert to automatically trigger to let those people know that this has been scheduled. And then by default, I'm going to say this isn't confirmed. So we want to know whether we've let the candidate know and they've confirmed that they're going to be at this meeting. Okay, so it's a many-one relationship. I can have multiple interviews added in line in this interface for the applicant. So I can put those notes, and then once I'm done with this section, I'm just going to save that out, and that attaches as one of the applicants in the requisition. Okay, I'm just waiting for it to update. Okay. So once I've saved out that main requisition, it'll bring me back to a dashboard. And then I can do things like use a link here, and I can actually compare candidates from the main dashboard. So the ability to click down through those layers right from the main dashboard just makes the system very accessible and a good way to manage this process. So that's kind of a basic model, but it shows you how you can create kind of like a database system to manage this process according to whatever your specific needs are in terms of what you're tracking on candidates, what your interview process may be, and that kind of thing. So at this point, I want to talk to you a little bit about where these settings are. How do you actually set up this interface? I want to show you that is really a nice process that is generally pretty easy to work with. So when you're working with Infowise tools, what you do is you do it in the context of the list. So I've got 5 related lists. And I can do one of 2 things. I can go to the design screen or the list settings screen. So I'm going to go back to that design screen, and then the configuration settings for this are in this. So in the context of the requisitions list, I can control the tabbed interface. Really easy to set these up. I can just type in the name of a tab and add it in the section, and then I map the fields to that tab. So what you're seeing is the sequence of fields that will show on the requisition tab for the requisitions list. And then I can reconfigure the order of those using this drop-down picker. Okay, so for the applicants, I just had that map to the applicants list. So you're just going to see one for that particular setting. It's going a little bit slow for me. Let me go ahead and cancel out of this form right now. Okay, well, while I'm waiting for that to update, I'll talk to you a little bit more about the process. Okay. In the context of the requisitions list, you'll notice that with Infowise it adds an icon in the ribbon toolbar. So if I want to configure email alerts to happen based on specific conditions, this is the form where I'm able to do that. So in this area I can go to the email templates and I can create a template, and that would really be the first step, and then you can create the rule to map to that. So I did create an alert already, which is just called ATS new rec. So I'll show you what that looks like. This visual editor tool, you can use code if you want to, but generally you can do things like highlighting, and this helps. It makes the email stand out from just standard emails that are going around the office. You can highlight the important information, you can insert bullets, or even include a table just to help this stand out a little bit better. So the first step is to define actually what's going to be in the content of the email. These are dynamic. You use the fields on the right side of the screen and you simply select it, and you can do things like click add to subject. I'm not going to save that, and it inserts the field values. So in that way the email alert actually gives specific information each time it goes out. And then additionally what you do is put a link in there so users can click on that and it'll take them right to that item in SharePoint. So it makes it really easy for everybody to use. So I'm going to show you how easy it is. I haven't even created the alert yet. We'll just create that right now. So we're going to say this is for requisitions, and this is for when there's a new rec, and I define my recipients. This is what I was talking about with the roles. What I want to say is that this email is going to go out to whoever is identified as the hiring manager, and then I also want to do that for the recruiting manager. So whoever the person is in that field will be sent the email. So that changes dynamically. Okay, I want to say this is going to happen whenever a new requisition is added in the system, so it's only going to happen at that time. We want it to go out immediately. We don't want any delay on that. And then I just need to pick the template I'm going to use. I've already created that, so all I have to do is just select that in the drop downs and then click add. And an email will go out to let anybody know who's been assigned to the alert, and at that point that email is always going to be triggered whenever a new requisition is added to the list. You can get very sophisticated with your rules for the emails. You can add conditions based on the data. So in your hiring process, for example, you may have different emails that go out depending on where you are in the process. So for example, you might be getting ready to make an offer or do something like that. And of course there's different people involved in different process. So all of that process can be modeled within your tool. I'm going to show you the actions setting really quickly. Actually, before I do that, I want to show you how the color choice field works a lot. Status is an important one, whether you're talking about the status of the job, whether you're talking about the hiring stage for the candidate, whether a process has been completed, throughout the process, anything like that, you can map that, use these icons. You can use quite a variety of them. There's actually 250 options, and again, this just gives a really nice indication to users where something is in the process. So you can change that to whatever you want, or actually even load in your own, but that's the Infowise color choice field. So now I'm going into the actions configuration. So what it'll do is actually create a column that's stored in the list, which will store all of these rules for us. There's quite a lot of functionality packed into this feature of the tool set. Most often you will use the update list item, so depending on a value in one field, you can update other fields with different values and set up those conditions. But you can use this to automatically create records in other lists. This might be something that would be triggered in your process. You can use this to send emails also. You can update permissions. All of the things that you might typically have done in workflow in SharePoint Designer, really most of those things can be modeled using these options in the actions area. So it can actually get very specific, and this can be a very powerful tool to use when you're building your solutions. I talked about the skill sets. One thing I do want to show you real quickly in the candidate view, I have the ability, since I have this metadata, to filter on these candidates. So if I wanted somebody, say, who was executive experience and project management, I can come into these filter lists and I can just look at those candidates. So you can imagine some of these systems, as you ultimately end up with hundreds or thousands of candidates, that this could be very valuable to you to go out and dig through that candidate pool and try to find somebody who's a really good match for the position you're looking for. So that really demonstrates most of the functionality I wanted to show today. I really hope that I've helped to hit home with the fact that you can build solutions entirely in the SharePoint interface. You don't have to be a programmer. I feel that this tool set is very well set up for what I think of as a SharePoint power user. On the Infowise side, we've really made a lot of efforts to provide support to the users in terms of documentation, training information, which is on the website, which is both in videos and written information. And even beyond that, we're providing hands-on lab-style training. So you have the opportunity to work through and practice. And in my background working with this tool, I've found that there's a lot of layers to it, and there's a lot of functionality that I've been able to take advantage of. So there's a lot of depth to the product, but at the same time it's accessible. That I'm aware of, I really don't know of another SharePoint product that has this kind of value proposition. I really find it incredibly valuable in my job, and I'm able to use this to develop really a huge variety of programs, and I can do it quickly. Typically with development it can last months, and you can get into a protracted process. So this could be an opportunity for your organization to get a quick win. So initially you may have a tool you want to build right now, but going forward, what I expect would happen is that you'll find many opportunities for using this tool set because you can use this for anything that you're doing in SharePoint. I thank you very much for your time. I'll leave the session open. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to use the chat interface and GoToMeeting. And beyond that, if you want to send an email to us, we'd be happy to try and answer questions after that and get a little more in depth if you have some specific things that you want to talk about. But I hope that's helped you. We also have previous sessions up on our Infowise website. So if you want to kind of see some other examples or see some other demos, you can certainly check some of that out. We have those loaded on YouTube videos. So thanks everybody for your time today. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and stop, and we'll be showing something similar next month. I'm going to be demonstrating an onboarding system, trying to use some of this tool set, which could go hand in hand with this. So thank you very much.